Okay, here we have a short tutorial for setting up an animated GIF in Photoshop CS6. We're going to go through some really basic steps before we move on to the next video, which is going to get into a few more advanced controls. So here we go. We're going to start with File, New. We're going to make a 400 pixel by 400 pixel artboard. 400 is pretty manageable, shouldn't go too much larger. Usually GIFs are quite small, but this will give us some space to work with, so we'll click OK to that. And the next thing we're going to do is go to the gradient tool, and at the top menu, select radial gradient. I'd like you to click on this color swatch up here, and you can pick any two colors you like. So you can pick one of these defaults, or you can always just double click on these crayons underneath, and you can find the colors that you want exactly, and you can move them around. And I'm going to go red and gold, red and yellow, and click OK. So what I'm going to do for this is make 6 or so layers of a gradient that gradually changes, and then we're going to animate those layers. So before you go do anything else, we're going to start with right in the middle here, and I'm going to make a really short line with the gradient tool, tiny yellow dot, make a new layer, start in the same spot, go a little longer, make a new layer, start in the same spot, make it a little longer. And we can do this as many times as you like. 6 or 7 is probably going to be just fine. All right, always try to start in the middle. You can use all sorts of different tools to make it more accurate, but for now we're just having an experiment. And then our last one here, layer 6, I'm going to go right outside, so it's going to be pretty much all yellow. Okay. You can see over on the right hand side, I've got my layers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 in my background. They're all currently turned on. I'm actually going to go and turn all of them off except for the background. And then I'm going to go to Window, Workspace, Motion. It will open up the motion panel at the bottom. And by default it says Create Video Timeline. Hit the down arrow and create frame animation. And then click on the button to create frame animation, and you'll see your first frame show up on the left. So currently it's set for 0 seconds. That's our first frame. All you have to do now is sequentially turn your frames on. So make a new frame, turn on layer 1. Make a new frame, turn on layer 2, and keep on going. Layer 3, new frame, layer 4, new frame, layer 5, and new frame, layer 6. Down in my controls at the bottom here, I have time, 0 seconds, so it's going to go really fast. And right now it's set to once. So I'm just going to change that to forever so we can see it keep playing. Then you have your play controls, and if you hit play, it will very quickly go through our sequence. Now remember, these are all set at 0 seconds each. So if you like, you can change those a little slower. I can go to 0.1 second. It's going to be a little different when it turns it into a GIF and you post it online. There may be some slight differences in speed, but this is a good way for you to monitor the kind of speed that you want based on your animation. The last step is to simply save it as a GIF. So File, Save for Web. The default is GIF. And at this point, you can keep everything as it is until we go over some of these other tools. But at this point, you can just test it. Yep, it looks right. It's currently going forever because that's the setting I had. And I can now hit save. If you save this, and I'll call this radial GIF, radial burst GIF, good. And I'll overwrite an old one that I did. Replace. Now if I go and I open that file up, it will automatically open it up in a web browser and it will play it. So let's just see if I can find it here. Always make sure you know where you're saving your work. Radial burst GIF, there it is. It opens up and it plays. That's it. That's the basic GIF.